Hello and welcome to another Tarkov video. This one is about Tarkov news. So what happened was there was a podcast that Nikita, the head developer of Battlestate Games, was on, and it was pretty much entirely in Russian, and then some kind person on Reddit has watched it and translated it. I'm going to put a link to the Reddit post in the description. I would pronounce his name, but I can't. It's SDUEQ. So thank you for that, and we're going to have a look at it right now. And I just want to point out before we start that this is a translation from a podcast, on Reddit, and there is no way I can say one way or the other whether this is truthful or not, because I don't speak Russian, I didn't watch the podcast, so I'm just going on blind faith here. From what I've read, most of it looks legit. There's a few things that look like it was a joke that just didn't translate well. But from what it looks like, they all look like reasonable changes and reasonable plans. Right, so this first one is pretty much just equipment. The first post is about something called war belts, which I'm going to be honest with you, I had to Google because I did not know what this was. It's pretty much like a tactical tool belt. You've got like pouches for, sidearms, mags, those sort of things. And it's basically just saying that Nikita's not really a fan of war belts, but they will, they're planned to be added after the remake of plate carriers and customization of chest rigs. Now that brings us on to the second point, which is chest rig customization, which displays, their aim is for it to display what's in the pouch, which would be a very complex situation. That's what he said, complex system with a full-fledged interface. So we want that done before patch 13. That moves us on to decorate developments for the chest rigs, and he's basically saying, yeah, they're going to be added. I'm not sure what a spring hook is. Grabs a spring hook on the plate carrier he's wearing. Might have to Google that. It looks like during the podcast Nikita was actually wearing a plate carrier, so that's what I'm getting from that. Not sure what type of decorate developments, but again, variation is better. BSG will not introduce quests to increase pocket slot count. Now there was a Reddit thread posted where people were suggesting that they change the pocket carryability with different articles of clothing. Now I understand both points of the fence. I like the idea, but I also understand that it would create, a certain look, a certain combination of jacket and jeans, which is meta, and that's what everyone would be wearing. So unless they could balance it really well, I do see why you wouldn't want to go down that path. And last but not least for that patch there is new clothes for PMCs and scavs will be introduced in 12.6. So all sorts of clothes to scavs. Yeah, there'll just be new clothes for USEC and Bear and one jacket for the scavs. On to the next one, and basically BSG is currently testing and working on 12.6. They have delayed it. It says here, BSG is delaying the patch because they are patching possible exploits that can appear in the new flea market system. Can't argue with that. It's the right call to delay it and release it broken. Not nice to hear. I think we're probably looking for the very end of May right now, or June. After that, they've got pre-wipe events are going to be announced right before the wipe, standard as usual. And renewed customs is not going to be added in 12.6. So they did release a couple of visuals on their Instagram of basically the back of construction site on customs being expanded upon. They do from time to time add new areas in the maps, and that unfortunately is being delayed and not going to be in 12.6. And last one on that one is BSG banned 1500 cheetahs yesterday, May 7th, which, yeah, can't argue with that. That's great for the game. Personally, 1500s. See, it sounds like it sounds good because it's like 1500 cheetahs were banned on May the 7th. But when is that from? If that is a ban wave happened on, the start of May and then to May the 7th, and there was 1500 new cheetahs, that's really bad. But if it was 1500 cheetahs from 2-3 days time, it's a difficult situation because the bigger the number in the shorter amount of time means it's more effective, but it also means there's more cheetahs. The less number over a longer amount of time could mean they're not catching as many. Because I mean, anyone who plays the game knows there's a rife cheater problem at the moment. Next one begins with bug abusers and skill grinders will be forward. Bug abusers can report it after the introduction of the report system. Basically saying he doesn't have a high opinion of people who play the game the way it isn't intended to be played. He goes on to say that he feels sorry for the honest people that play it fair. It's pretty standard stuff, but what irritates me about that one is at the beginning of this patch, the beginning of this wipe, there was a big exploit with leveling your strength. I think it was the beginning of this one. It could have been the beginning of the last one, but there was an exploit and a lot of people, went and abused that exploit, and then they just reset everyone's strength level. And it's like, is that really the best? They've got people that probably leveled their strength up normally and painstakingly because it is a bitch of a skill to level, and they just got punished for it. And that's the kind of like, you know what I mean? It goes against the grain of what he's saying there, because the actions of BSG was they did punish a lot of people when a small minority of the player base bug abused. I didn't personally bug abuse. There's no point. It's a game. But moving on. They're possibly going to be offering bounties and rewards for finding bugs and stuff. I'm not sure how that would work. I'm not sure what they would offer. Dead PMCs. Items won't be counted as found in raid because people may launder them. It makes sense, but it's also not great that you might lose out on a lot of money because you've downed dude and he's got some good stuff on him, but you can only sell that to the vendors. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense from the point of view trying to stop people exploiting the system to try and trade real world money, but I'm also kind of like, are you shooting yourself in the foot here? Is the game going to be worse off? Don't know. We'll have to test it out. And they're going for an introduction of capture in the flea market. Not sure how that is going to impact people. The examples he gave are, so it would only trigger in certain situations, like if you're buying too much, selling 2 times the price of a much higher item, you refresh too often. So it is aimed at people who do bot the flea market, which is again something that needs combating. Right, so this next one, apparently there's a person on YouTube that baits people into buying outdated hacks by buying channels and streaming old cheating footage. BSG is not happy about it. Basically goes on to say the YouTube channel with a stream ongoing, big red live in the corner, 16k botted views, pre-recorded video, buys channels with 500 to 600 subscribers and streams it on purpose. He actually sells nothing, no cheats. He even wrote, "Why you strike my videos, why ban me? I'm not doing something bad, I'm actually helping you, I don't sell cheats. Really, you get the money and the cheater is punished, that's insane. We've already banned thousands of those videos, we have a legal department that quickly sends info to YouTube. Buddy, if you're watching this, please stop wasting your and everyone's time. The thing you are doing is not nice." 100%. 100% agree with everything you've just said there, and I would go so far as to say, if you were a person right now watching this video, probably not, because I don't think people, who don't want to play the game properly watch these videos, but they might. If you're a person that has an inkling or an inclination to hack or bug abuse or cheat in this game, just the only way we get rid of all these people if everyone takes personal responsibility and says no. I'm not going to lie to you. There has been times when I've been so frustrated as hell with this game, and I've thought, you know what? If I had ESP, I could just go into a match and find everyone else that has ESP, all the other hackers, and deal with them, deal with the problem myself. But it's not, you know what I mean? You're not making any progress in that method of thinking. You're just adding another cheater. So yeah, if you see any of those videos or anything like that, you just report them straight to YouTube, report them to BSG. There's some forums you can use. If you go onto their forums, there's actually if you've got evidence of cheaters, you can upload the evidence, like video footage and whatnot, and that helps. Just try and keep it a cheater-free game. It's not going to happen, but if we all try harder to make it cheater-free, it's going to be better anyway. We don't lose anything in the long run. So this one's basically just saying that BSG is actively working with BattlEye and they're working on a traffic encryption system. So 2 points here. The first point is I don't think just banning the cheaters is effective. They immediately know they've been banned, they buy a new copy, and they start making money again through real world trading. It's not really going to combat the problem. I think the bigger issue is go after their money, go after the real world trading, the people who are making a lot of money by hacking in this game, and get rid of them, you know. But also, like, you know, if you consider just shadow banning the cheaters, so if you don't want to go after the people who are real world, you know, the people who are making an industry out of your game, just shadow ban them, put them into matches with only other cheaters. And once you've got all these cheaters shadow banned, the ones that are just doing it to make money aren't going to bother buying a new key because they don't care about playing against legitimate players or cheaters. They're instantly going into a match, getting the loot, they're killing the other players. You know, the price of a new key, it's not worth for them to reinvest into a new copy of EOD or Standard Edition. They're just going to keep the shadow ban. At the moment, you've got, you know, players who are getting banned for cheating. Those 1,500 players that you banned earlier on, most of them are going to buy a new key and be cheating again because they've already made enough money to cover the cost of a key, and there's no actual downside to them doing that. So I would consider shadow banning them. You know, put them into games with other players that are doing just the same thing as them, and that, you know, protects people from these people. That makes not much sense. Basically, it protects the people who are playing fair, who don't have cheats, because the cheaters are already funneled in. You know, it's the way labs works. For example, if you go into labs, chances are you're going to encounter more cheaters than you are anywhere else because labs, there's a lot of money in it. And these people are trying to make money. The more rubles they make, the more real money they make. So they go to labs. So if you play other maps other than labs, your chances to find a cheater go remarkably down. Well, this is the same concept. If you shadow ban those cheaters are generally just going to keep their accounts and just kill the other cheaters because whoever got the best cheat wins. They don't lose anything. So that would be my suggestion for that one. And with the traffic encryption, the problem with that one is basically what's happening is people are like, I don't understand the you know, the science behind it, but basically what they're doing is they're using a separate system to read the incoming packets of data and outgoing from the client, and then they can use that to bring up an overlay. So they can basically use ESP on a separate machine, which is much harder for BSG to detect. So that's why they want to encrypt it, which is again a good thing. And all I'd say to anyone reading, watching this, is if you see a streamer or you see anyone who is constantly looking to a separate screen, like in the middle of fights and things, just be a bit suspicious. They could just be reading chat, but if they're doing it enough, it's going to look suspicious. Right, this next one is, well, I'm going to read it first, which is unprofessional. 12.6 is going to be a special patch that changes how the game is played. A bunch of new systems implemented, like the overweight, fatigue, trading of crafted items found in raid, and basically it's just aimed to change the way items move in game, the way they're created and the way they are traded. Worried about the overweight system because I like the overhaul they did in the recent patch, but I also don't. I don't like the fact that if you're going in reasonably geared with 36 kilograms, you pick up one gun and you suddenly cannot, you know, the dynamic of it changes too much. There needs to be a more gradual penalty. You know what I mean? You should go, if you're going at 36 to 42 to being overweight and being really penalising your mobility, you need to stretch that out a bit. It needs to be like cumulative, so it needs to be, you know, 30 to 40, you've got a slight reduction in your stamina. 40 to 50 gets much worse. 50 to 60, unbearable. You know what I mean? It really needs to nail down how bad it is to be more overweight than just a static threshold of, oh, you went 1 gram over the 36.7.8 weight limit you have. Now you have these problems. Next thing is Nikita dislikes people who try to get rich in a small amount of time after the wipe. We don't want to see people racing each other for high value loot to become rich in a short amount of time. It's not right. I mean, the problem is, at the moment in time, because wipes are happening, what it means is that when the wipe happens within the first 2 weeks, it's a race to see who can unlock the most stuff and acquire the most gear to dominate the other people. And it's just a part of why, why wipes are hyped, because not only do certain guns become more competitive again, there is this inherent race to be the person that dominates the other person. There's a clear goal. Whereas in most of Tarkov, at the end of the wipe period, people don't have defined goals. They just go in to have fun, which is what you really want to happen. But it's also not really much of a survival game by the end of it. Nikita wants each player to have a certain role in the game and not become a jack of all trades. Well, that's alright. To add more to the newfound and raid-only flea market, BSG will reduce the amount of items traders sell. Wait, what? Why and how, from the point of realism, must exist a rule I must be able to find every loot and raid. First, you need to level up traders to spend your time and resources on them. Second, 75% of all loot is spawned in anyway. And here's the thing, we will be implementing almost all loot in 12.6 is going to be spawnable on locations and AI. It won't be sold. There are going to be new gear elements that spawn on scavs, raiders and guards. Whew, that one's kind of a mixed bag. Like, I understand what he's going for. I understand it'll be a better system if you can find what you need in raid over just going to a trader and buying it, but I know for a fact it is going to frustrate the hell out of me if I can't run the loadouts I want to run because I'm missing one key crucial part. Maybe it's just a canted site and I can't go and buy that. Maybe it'll be accessible on flea market. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I can see it being a potential dangerous change to the way the game is played now. Right, so this one is, there is a book coming out. There is already a book, but there's a new one apparently. Second is all about the new influx of players. Basically they went from 17 servers to 1700. No, not 1700, 170, which is, not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure if it really makes that much of a difference. The servers aren't going down as much, that's for certain. And NVIDIA Freestyle is going to be prohibited, which with the post effects system you don't really need, but it is potentially going to make a lot of people struggle. And I'm not sure how they're going to, I don't think it's going to be a bannable thing. I think it's just going to be like, well, you can't play with that program. You know what I mean? Now the second post goes into a lot of detail about the servers and how much they cost, and just the sheer figures. At one point there was 170,000 people online, and at one of the biggest gripes were people saying, why don't you just buy Amazon servers? And apparently they looked into it, and apparently Amazon servers were going to cost $1.4 million a year. Yeah, considering the way BSG's monetized Tarkov, I don't see how a annual cost that high could be subsidized without things like microtransactions and selling a subscription service. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at how Escape from Tarkov is monetized, there's no gun skins, nothing like that. There's only a couple of variations of the original game, and that's it. You buy it once and you're done, no further costs, which is one reason I really like the game, is because any other developer would have went, okay, well, we're going to put gun skins in, you're going to buy this, new look, the new clothing options, the cosmetic options. Any other game, that would have been a pay-for service. You wouldn't have been able to change the look of your PMC without first sinking a bunch of money in. The next few are about, the first one I hope is a joke, which is about them adding more player and PMC and scav extracts like there is on reserve. I don't like it. I don't think it works. I've never used one. Without a voice over IP system, you're never going to really make friends with someone like that, and unless you're willing to die a couple of hundred times. Anyway, moving on. The first iteration of the skill rework has been implemented with the strength changes and the metabolism. Then we've got the underbarrel grenade launchers. Basically, the plan to add them back in when they add handheld ones, so like the the 40mm ones and whatnot. And then we've got the VSS and AS Val ammo nerfs, which he thinks is going to be a damage nerf to them. Well, it's a change, so it might not be a nerf. So we'll have to wait and see on that. That should be next patch. And that last one is just about the release date. They thought in previous in the year that by May they'd have a confirmed date, and now they're saying that without Streets Tarkov and things being implemented, they can't really say for sure. After that, there was a post just basically saying that there's a lot of negativity surrounded around bugs and criticism towards the game. It goes into much more detail, and it's worth a read. But I do sympathise with the problems they're having. He does go on to say about how he can't just call up his staff, and he has had people quit because the demands of the game are just too high. And all I want to say to that is, if we just be positive with the criticisms and try and help make the situation better rather than just whining about it and complaining, we will be a part of the game and it will make it better. He says don't be a fanboy, and I agree with him. You've got to criticize what you love, and that's got to come from a place of wanting to make the game better, not, well, this game's terrible, you shouldn't play it. It's, well, the grenade system is really bad, maybe we should try, toning down the grenades on scavs and things until we can get it, fleshed out. Stuff like that. Next up, we've got information on the voice over IP. He says it's going to be difficult to implement, but they're still trying to do that, and I think it's a good addition. It needs to be in the game. A lot of streamers would disagree with me because they don't want to be banned off Twitch, but should you really design a game entirely around streamers? I don't really think that's the way to go, but again, it's something that's got to be fixed. They also shouldn't not be allowed to play and stream it. So, and then they've got a player report system as planned, which is a good, they've already got this, they've already got the facility on the forums, but there needs to be a more fundamental in-game way to do that. And player reports will not get banned, people banned right away. Well, they shouldn't. But if you receive 1,000 reports over 100 different people, it should get looked into at least. Right, these ones, the first one basically says about taking legal action against people who are advertising real world trading, and he says he doesn't want to do it, but he will if he sees more advertisements towards it. My comments on that is just do it anyway. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to tackle real world trading, because that is probably the source of most of your cheats. That's probably the source of most of your hackers, is people making this their living. So, and then it goes on to talking about how the new economy is to deal with resellers and add new layers towards a greater future goal. I don't know about that. I think it also could combat real world trading, because that's how probably a lot of people are getting it done. But I do understand it is trying to get rid of people who are buying out items and then reselling it just to, mess with the market. And then you've got the new economy is going to be designed to slow the accumulation of top tier loot. Sounds good. It'll give the game more longevity, which is, great. Right, this one's talking about Nikita not being in a hurry to add new content. Basically, he's trying to spread it out a bit more. There's going to be new AI driven UN soldiers, which is, good. You know what I mean? I think it's good to have more variation. Maybe they'll be carrying more variants of 5.56 base weapons, things like that. Crafting system is going to be redesigned to allow more crafting recipes. That's great. Makes a hideout more useful. New loot spawns redone. New loot spawns and redone old spawns. Dynamic loot is done, but will be added in the future in about 12.7, 12.8. I'm looking forward to dynamic loot spawns. I think it's going to be a good thing. It will help combat cheating, because people just won't know where the loot is, so you'd have to use more obvious cheats to, be able to just find out what's on the map. Then we have basically the karma system for PMCs and scavs written down and be implemented when almost all the bosses added. So basically, this karma system is designed to make player scav interaction more interesting, with even the possibility of playing as a scav boss, which could be fantastic. And there's going to be an arena mode, just fighting a group of bosses as planned. Love that. That sounds great. And then we're getting a new boss, which is called Sanitar, and they're going to be on Shoreline. UAP paramedic aidman. So basically, I think he's going to have a lot of healing items when you kill him. From what that's what I'm picking up from that. And lastly, we have secure container changes not in 12.6. So yeah, we won't be getting any changes for that. Compass is planned for 12.7, 12.8. New added land and customs will be added in the space between old gas station and construction site. That's what we're talking about. And that last line is basically just talking about how Shoreline was so badly optimized. Basically what happened was the way they developed it, they just kind of mirrored everything. And the first room had a ton of detail, and they just copy and pasted that room to the point where there was like 6 toothbrushes in one cup, glasses, papers, like 350 objects all together. So they just kept like adding that and multiplying it. So that's basically that. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And don't forget to check into the description for a link to the actual, this isn't all of the news, just what I picked out. So look at that link. I'll see you next time.